kanalen. I dag skal vi ta opp nok et interessant tema, så jeg setter over til studio.
Yeah, then I will welcome you to a new program here in Family Channel. My name is Rune Fardal, and today, as you can see on the text down here, I will talk about attachment, the connection between child and the parent. Barnevernet, the Norwegian CPS, use this concept, attachment to foster parent, as an argument for not returning children to the biological family. But when they take children out of the families, they don't care about attachment to the parents. But first, what is attachment? Attachment is the child's adoption to the environment. But attachment comes in several forms, as you can see here. And Barnevernet are never considering the quality of the attachment, the 4 different types you see here. It can actually be of a negative character. The attachment can be negative. Apart from the one positive quality, secure, over there, it can be ambivalent, avoidant, or the most severe part, disorganized, and still be called attached. Until the Barnevernet proved the quality, one of these qualities of the attachment, their arguments have no meaning whatsoever. As you can see, the power of attachment, if it's strong or weak, is not a measure of its quality. Is the child strongly disorganized, strongly avoidant, ambivalent, or is it strongly secure? As you can see, strength of the attachment quality has no meaning until you document the quality itself. Secure, ambivalent, avoidant, or disorganized. All of these are attachment. And Barnevernet, they never document the quality of this concept that they use, the attachment. The way they use this concept show they don't have the knowledge. So arguing time in foster care as proof of attachment has no meaning whatsoever. The importance of the caregiver-child relationship has been documented in the literature on social attachment theory by Bowlby and Ainsworth from the 50s. Likewise, the effects of separation, loss, grief to the attachment object have been discussed as being potentially traumatic. Despite these traits' extreme importance for a child's well-being and development, have you ever seen worries concerning these assessed in a child welfare report? You ever see they talk about separation, loss, grief, attachment? No. Probably haven't. It's because they don't understand the meaning of the word. And they don't really care. Attachment is only an argument to prevent children from returning home to family. Then they talk about attachment to foster parents or whoever, but never the other way. With regard to the traumatic effects of separation and loss among children placed in foster care, the shock of separation has been described as generating painful and unacceptable feelings which the child has as a result of the separation. This leads to the question: do Barnevernet's workers recognize and emphasize the importance of maintaining parent-child attachment relationships? The answer is no. They do everything they can to minimize contact with children and the biological parent. Example is 2 times every year, 4 times every year, 2 hours each, probably under supervision. That's not keeping attachment going. The scientist Hess in 1982 discusses frequent, regular parent visitation of children in foster care as crucial in maintaining the attachment relationship on the parent and child. Which brings us to the question: why does employee in the Norwegian Barnevernet sabotage this vital visitation if they have the best interest of the child in mind? There can be only one answer. They deliberately try to break the attachment between child and parent. By doing so, they are actually traumatizing the child for life. The HPA axis, as you can see here, is one of the most important hormone systems in the body. It is responsible for the production of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, among others. In hypothalamus, here marked with 1, body and brain information comes together. Based on this, the hypothalamus sends a message to the pituitary, here marked with 2. To release the CRF, corticotropin releasing factor, that goes down to the adrenal glands at 3, as you see down there. It's placed about here in the body. And here, strong hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are produced and released. This system is important for our everyday function. Trauma and chronic stress interfere with this system. It disrupts the system. And the younger the child, the more serious is this disturbance. And chronic traumatization is the worst because it prevents the system from falling back to normal levels after a stress event. The system does not get back to equilibrium, as we say. And the most traumatic thing you can do to a young child is to remove it from its parents. That's when the system is activated chronically over a long time. Why? Because you activate the attachment system, which keep the body at constant elevated stress hormone concentrations. And why is this so dangerous for the child's development? It's because during this early development, the nerve structures or schemas for future reaction to the effects of life is formed. The way that network is formed when you're young is the way the network is going to work when you get older. The way you react as an adult or youth is therefore based on how the nerve structures formed as an infant. Therefore, even a low but chronic stress situation can cause harm to children. They do not have the necessary brain structure to handle this kind of stress. And the elevated stress prevents them from developing an optimal nerve network in the brain. The result may be mental disorders in the worst case. And this is what we see in foster children in Norway, where 51% have one or more mental disorders, even after a long time in foster homes. Of course, the Barnevernet say this comes from the parents, but does it? And why doesn't it get better after many years in foster homes? As a group, they are not getting better. As mentioned, the most traumatic and stressful thing a child can experience is being removed from their parents. Yet, the employed people in the Barnevernet do this every day. Everybody knows this, but the employees in the Barnevernet don't care about it. Consciously, therefore, they inflict long-term harm in children. And this is where this HPA axis is linked to Barnevernet's removal of children. And that's why the removal itself is worse than a parent that gives the child a slap on the back. Because removal activates this attachment system in the body. A slap doesn't activate that system. Items like separation, grief, attachment and loss, as we saw in the last picture, activate the body's defense system, which is the HPA axis, among others. You also have the immune system activated. A scientist named Dozier in 2008 found that early separation from caregivers are often associated with changes in the functioning of this hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, the HPA axis. This change due to chronic stress. And the stress tolerance system, where the brain sends signal to regulate stress hormones. So the whole system is disrupted when it's exposed to traumatic stress, as in removal of the children from the biological parents. So separation from caregiver change this system for life. That is important. And that is very serious. And this is a trauma experience for life for the child being removed from the parent. That child will always keep in memory the worry about being removed when it's in school, playing, walking home, or wherever. Again, that leads us to the question, why does employees in the Norwegian Barnevernet so often separate the child from the caregiver? Hecht et al. In 2000 write that parent visitation, the scheduled face-to-face contact between parents and their children in foster care, as you see here, is the primary intervention for maintaining and supporting the development of parent-child relationships necessary for reunification. Reducing this visitation breaks the attachment between children and parents. And as I just told you, the Norwegian child care and the people working there have a tendency to only limit the visitation to 2, 3, 4 times a year, couple of hours each time. Again, why does Barnevernet break this contact? Their behavior proves that they have no intention of any reunification. Pensero et al. In 1995 found that multiple placements is the characteristic most associated with negative outcomes for youth in out-of-home care. 2 to 5 years following emancipation. Of 14 variables associated with outcomes, multiple placement was negatively associated with 12 and neutral for 2. Negative outcomes include unemployment, school dropout, relationship troubles, and teen parenthood. A history of placement in out-of-home care is a risk factor for becoming homeless. Emotionally disturbed adolescents in out-of-home care are most likely to have histories of placement disruption, particularly those adolescents with externalizing disorders. These disorders include ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, and conduct disorder. A lack of stable parent figures most severely affects social development. So, how can the employees in the Barnevernet defend moving children up to 20, 30 times in different foster homes, institutions, and different kind of homes? There is no justification for this. Unrau, another scientist in 2008, found that the experience of placement moves is not only remembered as a series of significant losses, but also perceived by participants to leave imprinted negative emotional scars, particularly in the area of trusting people and building and maintaining relationships. Another scientist, Bruskas, I think it was in 2008, wrote that most children in foster care, if not all, experience feeling of confusion, fear, apprehension of the unknown, loss, sadness, anxiety, and stress. And painful experiences associated with maltreatment and the trauma of being removed from one's parents into foster care may affect the development and mental health of children. Van den Dries in 2009 found that children who were adopted before 12 months of age were as securely attached as their non-adopted peers, whereas children adopted after their first birthday showed less attachment security than non-adopted children. And this is why Barnevernet takes more and more children early, many times when they are just born, hours after. Even before parents have shown not able to take care of their children. It has become an industry in need of children for economic reasons. Langiado in 2015 write about the transition from foster family to adoption family. Attachment theory highlights the fact that the child is being expected to form a new attachment to the adoptive family, whilst often being in the grips of mourning the loss of the foster family. The author suggests that a significant amount of the anger and violence expressed by children such as these is the result of their suffering from multiple traumatic losses. This is the same behavior children show after being moved from family to foster care, the pathology of loss of attached parent. Tausig, another scientist in 2001, showed that compared with youth who were not reunified from foster care, reunified youth showed more self-destructive behavior, substance abuse, and total risk behavior problem on standardized tests or scores. Reunified youth were more likely to have received a ticket or have been arrested, to have dropped out of school, and to have received lower grades. Reunified youth reported more current problems in internalizing behaviors and total behavior problems, and lower total competence. These findings suggest that youth who reunify with their biological families after placement in foster care have more negative outcomes than youth who do not reunify. This shows that foster care does not help these children. On the contrary, the loss of biological family and attachment is so severe that it by far surpasses the supposed problems in biological family. Riley in 2003 showed that a significant portion of youth exiting the foster care system face serious difficulty transitioning to life on their own. Many live on the streets, lack the money to meet basic living expenses, fail to maintain regular employment, are involved with the criminal justice system, are unable to obtain health care, and experience early pregnancies. And Sims et al. In 2002 write that although most children enter foster care with medical, mental health, or developmental problems, many do not receive adequate or appropriate care while in placement. Physiological and emotional problems, in particular, may worsen rather than improve. Again, I ask the question, where is the quality control of the decisions made by the employees in the Norwegian Barnevernet? Peers in 2005 found that children in foster care are at heightened risk for poor psychosocial outcomes. Being in foster care was significantly associated with worse emotion understanding and theory of mind capabilities, even when accounting for age, intelligence, and executive function. There are no significant associations between length of time in foster care, number of transitions, and emotion understanding and theory of mind. Again, why is this knowledge absent among the employee in the Norwegian Barnevernet? Horwitz in 1994 write that results indicate that 53% of children in foster care commonly show developmental delays. And no matter how long they stay in foster care, they didn't get any better. And here you see mentioned some of the different kind of delays that has to do with this problem. Again, why isn't this taken into consideration when children are taken out of their biological families? Well, I hope that this information that I just give you now and knowledge will help you argue against the removal of children from their biological families. Studies are quite clear that risk families are no worse off than foster families, which make you wonder what the foster industry is really all about. Well, that was all for me today. So I see you soon again with a new program. Until then, goodbye.